Hi, my name's Phil. I like talking about politics, and in this video, if I dare peel myself away from the bigger stories for a few hours, I'd like to discuss the final incarnation of Labour's big employment rights bill, which is going to face its final vote in a matter of days. There were plenty of articles flying about on how Labour watering this promise down and that measure down, and when the dust has settled, all of it was exposed as yet again just hacks whose only skill is making up news that doesn't exist. The bill, despite concerted pressure from some business groups, is to be presented for a final vote to MPs next week. All the manifesto promises and all the big measures, mostly as they were, and the ones that have changed have actually been made stronger in protection of workers. But first, for daily political commentary, please hit the subscribe button to stay notified. So, it might possibly be folly to try and talk about a piece of humdrum parliamentary business with chaos raining down upon us. But for me, this might be one of the most important pieces of legislation I've seen. Yesterday, I was saying to someone that in the current climate, couldn't possibly do a video on the employment rights bill, but sod it, this is huge news, should be treated as such. This is how you start to rebalance a knackered economy, and we're going to need a lot of that in the next few years. You know, this is how you make ordinary people's lives better and throw banana skins in the way of goose-stepping fascists. If mainstream politicians in America had done something like this a long time ago, there would be no Donald Trump, other than the guy who keeps bankrupting businesses, because the thing he said in his first presidential campaign about drain the swamp, it was true. The established politics, Republicans and Democrats, didn't care enough about making ordinary Americans' lives better. That is how he came to power. Trickle-down economics doesn't work. Not just my opinion, it's the established view of independent economists. Bottom-up is how you fix an economy and fix a society. Once this bill passes its third reading next week, it will then pass to the House of Lords. So still a while before it's law, but people will be able to get the benefits long before the next election, which is why it was pushed so early in the Parliament. And although the Lords may indeed try to water it down themselves, the government do not have to accept any amendments which do so. It's a major part of their manifesto, as a result deemed to have a public mandate. I saw someone trying to suggest that Labour had broken a manifesto commitment to the right to switch off. It was never a manifesto promise, nor was it ever part of the original plans for the bill at all. They literally just made it up. Oh, this thing's not in there. Oh, they broke it. Yeah, it was never in the first place. The bill as it stands, which MPs will be approving next week, contains everything promised to the extent it was promised, and actually a bit more. I think the main tweaks for employers with things like not having to consult with people who work in one part of a business on changes in a completely unrelated part that doesn't affect them, which I've seen nobody raise any real objections to. Unions are happy, including Unite. They were playing silly beggars themselves in trying to claim, oh, things have been watered down. I suspect in order to claim that they stopped at the other end, doesn't matter. The biggest shake-up of workers' rights since I don't know when. In fact, if anything, it has been made stronger against bad bosses, with action against hire and refire abusers, and they've even closed a loophole that might have allowed businesses to use agency staff to bypass the incoming rules on 0 hours contracts. And when I talked about heavy lobbying from some business groups to water the measures down, so let me be really clear here. This isn't bosses against workers and workers are winning for once. This is a huge win for workers, of course, especially many of the most insecure workers with day one rights incoming. But employers too. Good employers don't fire and rehire. Good employers don't abuse 0 hours contracts. Good employers aren't pissy over paternity leave. So what happens with poor workers' rights is that bad employers don't just screw over their workers. They're doing it to undercut the good businesses who treat their staff properly. So this legislation is also a win for the many good employers who will now be on a more level playing field. I'd paid attention to all the news I could on the passage of this bill through the Commons, and with one or two exceptions, which I think have been amended to no great fuss, I don't think I heard a single business group raise any objections to any of the measures which would impact a good employer at all. I asked some people who are employed, in a range of businesses, large and small, and those who are actually happy with their employer, if any of these measures would affect their company's business practices. No, not in a single case. Only bad employers are losing out here. And I know some argue that, oh yeah, but some of these businesses really struggle. There's smaller businesses, you're not understanding, Phil. But not being good at business doesn't give you the right to take advantage of other people's rights. Nobody forces anyone to go into business for themselves. If you do and you employ people, you have responsibilities. If you're not good at business, and I keep saying most people, particularly small businesses, people start a business not because they're good at business, but because they're good at the thing they're going to sell, the goods or services they're going to sell. That doesn't give you the right to have slave labour. You can't just look at an unfavourable balance sheet and conclude you can't afford workers' rights. If you can't afford to treat your labour with dignity, you can't afford the labour, do without it. And no, that doesn't mean having a long unemployment queue. We have more jobs in the country than people of working age to fill them. Where unemployment exists, it's down to barriers entering the workforce, not because there are no jobs. It's things like skills, disabilities, childcare. It's not because there isn't the work. For example, the GMB union, they talked about how when balloting members for Amazon for union representation, this is a company that can certainly afford to treat its staff properly. Amazon basically doubled the number of staff there using short-term contracts to make it harder to get the 50% requirement for union recognition. That trick's not going to work after this law's passed. That's been closed off. Nor will lots of others designed to treat workers like disposable gloves. Cannot say this enough. A worker is a human being. They have bills to pay. And those in insecure work are also likely to be in low paid work, meaning they don't have savings. They can't be living day to day without knowing if their job will last the month. They can't go, oh, if it takes me another couple of months to get a job, it's no problem. I've got savings. They haven't. And even if they never lose that job, if they're in insecure employment, the fact that they could at any time, that sort of stress is terrible for their mental health. So, I consider that human rights abuse. So I'm delighted we've gotten this far. After so many years of workers' rights being dissolved away, I'm happy that we're nearly there for so many people to be able to start punching back. I just wish Labour would learn to get their achievements out to more people. Bypassing the mainstream media, maybe mentioning that Reform UK voted against all of these measures while they're at it. Because these moves are popular and they will help rebalance our economy. In fact, if Trump does crash the global economy, and he's well on his way to doing so, there's people now, never mind talking about a recession, they're now talking about a depression. I'm seeing that in economic news, not just like the flights of fantasy tabloids. I'm not going to lie, it's going to shaft everyone, us included. This is not just, America will get hit worse, of course. But this hurts everyone. But if we're making people's lives better, if we are rebalancing the economy, that will lessen the pain for many. In fact, actually, for a lot of people, may counteract it altogether. Especially if we can move close to the EU while we're doing it. And if we do dodge the worst case scenario of Trump's clumsiness, it will be a very powerful stick to beat Reform UK with. But there we are. Those are my thoughts. Let me know yours in the comments below. If you've enjoyed the video, please click the like button and subscribe for further content. If you'd like to support the channel further, you can click the join button for memberships. Thanks for watching, and until next time, I'll see you later.